I don't know how long you've been holding Sunday school, but I may do it just a little bit different from the way you do it, but don't think that I'm trying to overlook the way you do it. It's just the way that I do it. I heard just about the same. So I'm not going to keep it over half an hour, if that long. Now, there are two types of ministry. There are two types of ministry. I gave you a definition of ministry, and there are two types. One is physical, one is spiritual. Spiritual ministry and physical ministry. Now, at our church, First Decatur, we have a bread ministry. I think we have one here. A food ministry. I call it bread. It's the same thing. A food ministry. So we are attending to the needs of someone. The people that come out, they need the food. They are not, probably don't have enough money to buy food and pay their light bill and everything. So the food that we give them, that's a big help to them. Now, when we help someone, let's be sincere in our helping them. When we help someone, there are three that you know about it. You, the person that's giving the help, and God. The three. Don't go around bragging about what you did. Now, for example, if Brother Johnson needs 50 cents, I say, I give him that 50 cents, and I say, go out and tell everybody, I had to give that devil 50 cents. He's no good, he's low down, he's dirty and everything. Now, is that the real spirit of giving?
No.
No. What I should do when I give Brother Donaldson that 50 cents, shut my mouth and go over and try and find someone else that needs 50 cents. Okay. Now, we should always help our fellow man who is in need. Now, there's a song that says, it goes, if I can help someone as I travel along, if I can cheer someone with a word or song, if I can show someone when he's traveling along, then my living will not be in vain. Let us remember that. If you can do those things, the living will not be in vain. And God will look favorably on you. Jesus will remember that when you stand before him on your birthday. Let's all remember that. If I can help someone when I travel along, if I can cheer someone with a word or song, if I can show someone when he's traveling along, then my living will not be in vain.
Okay.
Amen.
And before you criticize people, before you accuse, criticize, and abuse, as the song says, walk a mile in that person's shoes. I don't know why Brother Donaldson needed that 50 cents. I don't know why. But he's out there, raggedy clothes, no food. But walk a mile in his shoes, then you will understand why. Okay? Now, let's get into the lesson a little bit here. Like I said, I'm not going to keep you over 30 minutes. If I go over 30, somebody pull my coattail. All right, now, will someone read verses 31 through 33? I think it's the same.
Amen. I will.
Okay.
When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on the throne of his glory. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats.
Read verse 33 also.
And 33, and he will put the sheep at his right hand, and the goats at his left.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about goats and sheep. Did he mean that he would put that animal goat, the four-legged animal goat, the four-legged animal sheep on his right and left? No, he didn't mean that.
No.
He meant these two-legged animals.
Yes,
And we are classified as goat and sheep. Now, in the Bible, the goat is often used as a symbol of sin and separation from God. The goat. The sheep is just the opposite. In the Old Testament, goats were commonly sacrificed as sin offerings to atone for the sins of the people. Goats. This practice was part of the sacrificial system established by God to cleanse his people from sin. Do you understand what I just said? Okay. Now in the New Testament, oh, you may see that I'm reading here. My memory is not quite as sharp as it was a few years ago, so I can't stand up and just teach without resorting to my helper here. So you're going to find me reading quite a bit.
That's okay.
That's fine.
In the New Testament, the goat is also mentioned in the parable of the sheep and the goats. And you find it in yesterday, that's Matthew 1-46. When Jesus uses them to represent the righteous and the unrighteous. The goats are the unrighteous, the sheep the righteous. Now the righteous are likened to sheep who will inherit the kingdom of God, while the unrighteous are compared to goats who will be separated and cast into eternal punishment. Now, I'm not going to ask you. Ask yourself the question, am I a sheep or am I a goat? Actually, it's none of my business whether you're a sheep or goat. And it's not, well, I won't say it's none of your business, well, I won't go that far. But it's none of my business whether you are a sheep or a goat. But God knows whether you're a sheep or whether you're a goat. Now, what does the goat symbolize? In the Bible, the goat is often used as a symbol of sin and a sacrifice. In the Old Testament, goats were commonly used in sacrificial rituals to atone for the sins of the people. Now, there's one good example here. One well-known example is the scapegoat ritual described in Leviticus 16. Where one goat would be sacrificed to cleanse the people of their sins, while another goat would symbolically carry away the sins of the community into the wilderness. So you can see about the goat and the sheep. I have to go a little bit further here. Now, throughout the Bible, goats are used as symbols to convey various spiritual truths and lessons. Okay? Furthermore, goats are also associated with stubbornness and waywardness in the Bible. We know that you shouldn't be stubborn. You shouldn't be stubborn. You know what stubborn means. Don't go into that. In several instances, the image of goats is used to depict disobedience or rebellion against God's will. And all of us know that we should not rebel against God's will. We should do his will every day, every night, every breath that we take. We should do that done in the name of the Lord. Now, moreover, goats are sometimes viewed as symbols of strength and independence. We will be gathered together, goats to the left, sheep to the right, but we will be judged individually. Now, I think I've said enough about goats and sheep. Will someone read verses 34 through 36?
Then the king will say to those at his right hand, come, you that are blessed by my Father. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me.
Okay, now, it says something in here about the lowest. You got it unto me, the lowest of these, you got it unto me. Now, what is the lowest? The lowest in importance position, but that's the least of these. The lowest in importance position. The lowest, the least of these, the people will look down on. Sometimes we have a tendency to look down on people. If we have more education than they have, we have a tendency to talk what they don't even understand.
Amen.
Look down on these people.
Amen.
They say, you are nothing, which you know we shouldn't do. The people we consider inferior to us. Okay. We consider that person, if I have a PhD in physics or whatever, and this guy is a high school dropout, I think that I'm superior to that person, but I'm not. We're on the same level.
Yes, we are.
When we get to heaven, Jesus, and stand before Jesus, He is not going to ask us, did you have a PhD? Are you kindergarten dropout? He's not going to ask us that. He's going to ask us probably, tell us, I died for you. What did you do for me? Okay. Hopefully, if that question is asked of me when I stand before Jesus, I can tell Him what I did, and He will say, well done, I really thank you, sir. So, hopefully, that will be the case. But we know all of us not going to heaven. All of us are not going to heaven. Some of us go to heaven, and some of us go to the place below that we come to heaven. Hopefully that no one in here will go to this place. Hopefully all of us will meet up there and live with God throughout eternity. Hopefully.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Lord.
Now the people that depend on others for survival, they are the least of these. All right. Let's somewhat read verse 37 through 40, I say.
Amen. Verse 37 through 40. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry and gave you food, or thirsty and gave you something to drink? And when was it that we saw you a stranger and welcomed you, or naked and gave you clothing? And then when was it, and then was it that we saw you sick? And when we saw it, that we saw you sick, or in prison, and visited you? And 40. And the king will answer them, truly I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these, who are members of my family, you did it to me.
Okay, I think I got a little bit ahead of myself. I was explaining those verses instead of the other ones. But you understand that what he meant when he said, if you done it to the least of these, you done it unto me.
Amen. Amen.
When Jesus walked the face of the earth, He did several things. Performed miracles, He raised people from the dead, healed the sick and everything. So, song that was put my hands in the hands of the man who, still the waters and so forth.
Yeah.
So that's the man whose hand that we should want to hold on to. And he walked the face of the earth. Do you know anything that he did wrong?
Nothing.
Everything. In fact, he couldn't do anything wrong. He was the Son of God. He
Amen.
couldn't do anything wrong.
Right.
He was a righteous man. And because he suffered for us, he died for us, and after he was raised from the dead, God said, all power is in your hand. So he's going to give Jesus that power to tell us where we will spend eternity after we leave this world. Okay? Someone read verses 41, read the rest of it, verse 41 through 46.
Then he will say to those at his right hand.
Mhm.
Then he will say to those at his right, at his left hand, that are cursed, depart from me into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me no food. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not welcome me. Naked, and you did not give me clothing. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me. Then they also will answer, Lord, when was it that we saw you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison, and did not take care of you? Then he will answer them, truly I tell you, just as you did not do it for one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will go away into the eternal punishment, but the righteous unto eternal life.
Okay, now, he's still talking about the least of these. I went into the least of these a few seconds ago. Let me say just a little bit more about the least of these. I'll read it to you. It's often assumed that the least of these are society's poor and downtrodden, and that by implication, Jesus helps us support our program, church, government, otherwise, that aims to help creative people. We should, I mentioned a few minutes ago about the ministry that the two churches have, the food ministry, that's helping people. We should always remember to help people. Now, if we don't help someone in time of need, when we stand before Jesus, he's judging us. What is he going to tell us? Depart from me, I know you not. So in order to keep him from telling us that, instead of stay with me, stand by me, then we've got to live by what he says. And we know that if we read the Bible, study the Bible, go to Sunday school, listen to what the minister says in the pulpit every Sunday. I don't know who the preacher they were, Powell or Brother Smith, I don't know.
Reverend Smith.
Brother Smith, okay. But anyway, listen to what they have to say, and then everything will be okay. Now, a little thing, as we move far back, well, these people went to church, and the service was supposed to start at 11 o'clock. 11:05 passed, no one showed up. 11:15 passed, no one showed up. 11:30 passed, no one showed up. And the visitor asked, when does service start? And the person told him, after benediction. Now, you're holding, Brother Smith, when he preaches, we're just going to be holding the morning worship service. But he's telling you what to do. But when does the real service start? After benediction. When we go out, feed the hungry, give clothing to the naked, and do those things, then that is service. This is morning worship service that Brother Smith is going to. But we are the ones that do the real service after benediction. say a little bit more about the least of these. It refers to other believers in need, specifically itinerant Christian teachers dependent on other Christians for hospitality and support. Okay? In verse 45, Jesus uses the phrase the least of these, but in verse 40 he uses a more exact phrase. The least of these are my brothers. The two phrases refer to the same group. So the more complete phrase in verse 40 should use to explain the shorter phrase in verse 45. Whatever the least of these is about, it's about the least of who are brothers. The least of these. God looks favorably on the least of these. Now, others, he doesn't look too favorably upon. As I said before, we sometimes look down on people, and we should not. Look favorably on me, and I should look favorably on you. Because if we talk about people, Jesus is not going to like it. God is not going to like it. Always think and talk in a positive manner. Don't let negativity take over. Because if you do, you're going to be in trouble. Always think and talk back positively. One of my favorite sayings is, whatsoever ye would that men do unto you, do ye likewise unto them. If all of us would just remember that and do that, this world would be in a much better place. But when we don't do that, when I stab you in the back, when I don't treat you as I wish to be treated, then we are in trouble. So all of us should, if we haven't been doing that, let's start right now.
Amen.
Do unto others as you have others do unto you. And Jesus is going to look favorably on you when you do that. All right? I have a few more minutes. Don't let me go over 30 minutes now.
Okay.
I have a few more minutes, so let's see, where do I go from here? Now, we're in the book of Matthew, and what does chapter 25 mean? Now, in response to their request, verse 3, Jesus had been describing future events to his disciples. Some of it must have been difficult to understand as they sat together on the Mount of Olives. The temple stood before them whole and sound. Jesus was alive and well and still there to teach and direct them. None of the terrible things he described had happened yet. None of the terrible things he described had happened yet. Now, it's telling here in my research about the 10 young women who were all brought lamps. You know the story about the 10 virgins, 5 wise and 5 foolish. So it's telling you to always be wise and not foolish. It's easy. Anybody can be a fool. Anybody can be a fool. But let's not follow in the footsteps of that fool. Let's always be wise. Stay kind to each other. Do unto others as you have others do unto you. Without all, the 5 foolish young women are in trouble. Without all, the 5 foolish young women are in trouble. They asked to use some of the oil brought by the wiser women, but there would not be enough for all to go around. They are forced to run into the night in an attempt to buy oil, causing them to miss the procession. Now let's not live our lives so we will be late for that procession. Let you know what procession that I'm talking about. let's live our lives so when we pass away, we can all say that we have lived a life in accordance with the way God planned for us to live. So let's be careful now. Be patient, be kind, be gentle, be compassionate. Walk in the footsteps of Christ. Those are the characteristics of Christ. Patience, kindness, love. Okay? It's easy to say, I love you. Words are cheap. If you love me, or if I love you, when you need a helping hand, or I need a helping hand, give me that helping hand, or I give you that helping hand. If you see someone out in the street begging, don't say, I'll pray for you. That's not doing any good. Because prayer is the farthest thing from that person's mind. Prayer, which it shouldn't be, but it is. Help that person. Take him to Burger King, get him a burger, or get him a hamburger or something. But just to say, I'll pray for you, I love you, that doesn't mean anything. When he leaves, he's going to be just as hungry as he was before he started talking. So let's help that person do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Okay? Now, what does Matthew 25 and 30, 50, 25, 34 mean? That's one of our key verses. I'll read it from the New Living Translation. Then the king will say to those on the right, come, you who are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the creation of the world. That is what you want Jesus to say to you. You don't want him to say, depart from me, I know you not. Because if he says that, you know where you're going to spend the rest of your life, down there instead of up there. All of us want to go to heaven. Everyone in here want to go to heaven. Everyone outside wants to go to heaven. But do we want to do the things that it takes to get us to heaven? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. But we have to take the attitude of doing the right thing all the time. Instead of saying 99.5 won't do, do it 100% of the time. Right. Okay, I think I have about another few minutes, but I'm going to let it go there and ask our pastors. Is Reverend Smith behind me? Okay. Reverend Powell, would you like to give a few words? Because my 30 minutes is just about up.
Good morning. Good morning. Just to say that that is the principle that we should all live by. Do unto others as we would have others do unto us. That's a great principle, and we try and practice that in every day, in all situations. But sometimes, though, you never know what people are going through.
Amen.
And just, just by you being kind or having a smile on your face goes a long way. I've seen people who are out there asking for alms and what have you. And sometimes my thing of it is that if the Spirit leads me to do it, I give. If the Spirit doesn't, I don't. And the reason is that, as Paul reminded the church, we may be attending angels on the way. And so, because of that, we have to always be mindful that when we give and how we give may not just necessarily mean that they need alms. They may just need somebody to listen. We all need somebody to talk to. So we just want to I wanna treat you the way I want you to treat me. So I need to get something off my chest. If there's something on my mind, my spirit is disturbed. And I just need to get with somebody else and let our spirits connect. And that helps. And that stays within the principle of what Jesus taught the young rich ruler. You know, that you have to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Thank you, God bless.
Amen, amen.
You ever said something? Okay, so Greg, when you like to give thank you to.
Well, I'd like to thank you for such a wonderful lesson. It was well taught. It couldn't have got any plainer than you made it. So we were able to receive it and understand it. And we just thank God because He's letting us know that He still has need of us. He has need of you, He has need of us. And I'm not gonna go on too long because you did it. It said you did it and you covered it very well. And as we transition to our morning worship, we're already filled with the Spirit of God. So all we gotta do is transition from teaching to receiving and believing, and God will do it.
Ms. Smith, would you like to say a few words?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Powell?
You know, the only thing I would say is, when I met Reverend, and, I would talk about Pittsburgh and the homeless community and all of that, and he said, you know, it could be an angel in disguise. You know, you shouldn't be just walking past, because we just had abundance at one point. And so, I went home that summer, and ran into a guy that's been familiar for years. And, he asked myself and my two cousins, and they were like, get out of here, you're a bum. And I said, well, wait a minute, hold up. There was a Wendy's across the street, it's downtown Pittsburgh. I said, man, if you're hungry, come on over here and walk with me, and I'll get you something to eat. And that man, he ordered a children's meal. Well, I said, well, you don't have to get the children's meal, you can get your adult meal. And he said, well, no, man, because you're the first person in 2 days that offered me to get some food. And I just felt, you know, the first thing I thought, that's Larry Powell thing he got going on, you know, and it was kind of funny, and my cousins couldn't understand, and I said, you know, he could be an angel. You don't know. But that man is out here every day trying to get somebody to give him something to eat. They're thinking he's on drugs or he's an alcoholic. He was a vet. He had lost his leg. You know, because I sat down with the man and talked to him. You know, and my cousin, I told him, I'll just meet y'all. I'll meet you at Coffee. We had a place called Coffee. And they had a big clock. And I said, I'll just meet y'all at the clock. And I sat down with the man and talked to him, and I had seen him numerous times throughout the years standing there, and people would walk past him, and they would say all kinds of dirty things to him. And he said, you don't know how belittling it is for people to just say anything to you. They don't know my struggle, you know. And so, you know, that was my lesson through listening and conversating with Reverend and seeing that there is a need. And just because they're out there don't necessarily mean that they're on drugs and alcohol. And a lot of people assume that. And you just can't.
Now, if that's what you did, was much better than saying, I'll pray for you.
Yeah.
Actually, I do want to add a little something while, when Paul was speaking. I want to take this time to brag on my niece. I know she's listening back there. But, when we picked her up from A&M this morning, she was just basically giving us a little snippet of her report, but I feel like it's kind of relevant to what we're saying.
what she basically said, what I'm proud of her, is while she was waiting for her, DoorDash came up to deliver somebody's food, and, they didn't wanna go into the dorm to bring the food, they wanted to leave the food outside. And she took it upon herself to take the food and take it inside, so when the person comes down for their food, that their stuff it would be safe, it would, the food wouldn't get messed up, and the drink of having that attitude to think about the person who's receiving that food and what they would want, cause she wouldn't want her food to be messed up. And also the comfort of the DoorDash person, to be that person to stand in that gap, to be a service in that way.
Brother Jones?
Yes, sir, thank you, Brother Hall. It's a pleasure to have you here with us this morning, to sit under your teaching. And I know many times you said you weren't using the Sunday school book, but you have your own way of doing it. And that's good. That's good to hear that, because there's nothing wrong with the Sunday school book, but you were using another book that is part of the Sunday school teaching as well. And it just made me think, we don't always have to just go by what's in the Sunday school book, because once we study the lesson, we pray and we study the lesson, we get something out of it that we can share ourselves. And another thing you said this morning that was wonderful about the service, the story you told about the service. A lot of times we think of the service as something that happens to us. We gotta go through the service so we can get something out of it, and it'll make us better, or give us more understanding of what God wants us to do and what to do. But in your story you said the service starts after we leave the church. And that's very important, because as what we've already heard here, we have to serve the way God wants us to serve each other, to help each other, to listen to each other, and do whatever we can to help that person. And that was very powerful. I like that very much. And I know one thing I like to do, which is considered service in my mind, is when you're out, the same way I grew up. I grew up in a neighborhood where you had to say hello to everybody on your street when you walk past their house. You wave, you say hello, you show them respect, you show them love, and it comes back to you, and it gets back to your parents. Your son, your daughter, they were real nice. They were doing what they're supposed to do, and stuff like that. But I like when I go shopping, I like to speak to the people, say hello to them, hold the door for them, help people reach things that look to me, they didn't even ask for it. I said, I don't think that lady I think she needs help getting that off that shelf, and I'm gonna help her. And not only does it make me feel good, but they appreciate it too. And that's a way of serving. It's not always about giving money and whatever. There are a lot of ways we can serve. And sometimes it's simple. Even holding the door, I smile when I open the door for somebody I don't even know, going into the shopping center and out again, and it makes me feel good, because I know that's what the Lord wants me to do.
Ms. Turner, would you like to have something to say?
Morning to everyone. It's been a while since I've been saying y'all, and it's so good to be here.
All right. I was surprised when I walked through the door there. How is it going on? Right, this is coming to the end of our lesson today. So we will end our lesson with prayer and a thought to remember. We bow our heads, let us pray. Father, there is so much brokenness and need in our world. Refresh and revive us when we feel overwhelmed. Help us not to become callous or indifferent to the hurting people around us. Put up our spiritual vision so that we see not only others through the eyes of Jesus, but also ourselves so that Jesus and we respond to need. May we never forget that faith without works is still dead. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 I want to remember, Jesus is closer than we realize. Jesus is closer than we realize. Our Sunday school benediction. Sunday school is over for another day. Hear us, Heavenly Father, as we pray.